welcome back to Amazing Liberia. Thanks for your loyalty. It's been a while, but life was going. It was very important to me that I put this video out here as it pertains to the safety of single women traveling to Africa. 6 have gotten killed in the Gambia. 6. So this is very serious. And if you're new here, hope you get some information that helps make a difference wherever you are. Thank you. On this note of safety in Africa, do not feel like Liberia is not the Gambia. The issues that we have not addressed for ourselves being in the diaspora, let alone African American women who are not aware of our culture coming into this system, we are all vulnerable. Whether you're originally from the continent, whether you're married and whether you're single, some of these issues as to why people get off in Africa pertains to you. So let's dive into it. Okay, there's no pretty way of putting this thing there. I remember when I started my journey, planning my journey back home to Africa. During my research, I came across the story of the first Nigerian female pilot, because of course I overthink everything. So I was thinking on systems, and safety and security of course was on my map. Some of the aspect of safety and security is physical, like putting your high fence and putting electric through it, but most of it goes deeper than that, because the physical high fence and barbed wire cannot prevent when people want to get you, they will get you if you're not thinking on the other side of it. But during my research on safety as a single woman in Africa, one of the things, especially in Liberia, because that's where I know of, one of the people I came across was the story of the first Nigerian female pilot. Her name is, and I hope I don't butcher it, Captain Hadenza Oba. She was one of the first, the only so far, female pilot of Nigerian Airways. Of course, the company is not working anymore. But this lady, I think, I remember in 2021, I saw that she had actually been adopted out of Nigeria and came to the West and got her education and got her training and returned back home to Nigeria to make it her home as she did her career. I'll put the links in the bio for some of the stories that are out there, because the video that I originally saw, I'm not finding it, that goes back to how she ended up in Nigeria. But she was educated out, I think, in the UK and then returned home. And so she didn't have such a strong connection with her family. And a lot of us have been here long enough that we don't really have a strong connection with our family. And to them, we're ATM. Unless you drop that savior complex, you will be considered ATM. Captain Hadiza Oban was 39 years old. She had this big, beautiful mansion in Lagos, and she had a gate man, and then she had a substitute gate man and a handyman who did all of the things, and then she had a driver. Okay, single professional woman at the top of the peak of her career, living in Lagos, minding her own business, not dating anyone. This woman was killed by her domestic help. The first person she had hired was a gate man. She had fired him because I don't know why, but she fired him and hired another gate man and a driver. And somehow she was leaving, because she was a pilot. She would go on long flights, so she was leaving the country the second gate man that she had hired gave her an excuse that he wasn't going to be available to mind her compound. So she went and rehired her first gate man, and his name was Abdullah. Well, in firing him and rehiring, one of the things I can tell you that led to her downfall was that she bruised his ego. You have to be very careful of that. Us coming from the diaspora going back into Africa, and now you're the boss lady, you have to be very careful how you use that. And while you may be looking at people with no cruel intention and you're coming to improve the continent and do your best, they're looking at you differently. Don't forget, they crucified Jesus Christ. You're no different, even if you're bringing the last bread. So save your mentality. So long story short, this lady, when she returned from her month-long trip, that guy with the bruised ego said, you boss lady, huh? I will show you. He had put together a crew, and on February 8, 1998, this is not too long ago, 1998, that first man that she rehired, the gate man, he put together a crew when she was gone, and the crew consisted of the new gate man that she had hired and the driver. And I don't know if they had other people in it. So when they brought her home that night from the airport, he left the gate open for these people to enter the house. Long story short, he was the mastermind. Don't forget the initial gate man that she fired and she rehired before she left. Thinking, okay, at least I'm feeding him and his family. I'm giving him employment because that's how we think. So he was the mastermind. He killed her. Those people live in that woman's house. Those people sold that woman property one by one. So in the meantime, when people came to ask for her, they would tell people that she's not in the country. And because she wasn't in the country, a lot of the time people just believe it. They moved from the boss quarters into the woman's main house. She had a beautiful mansion. Into her main house. The thing that tipped off the first person was they started selling her property. Don't forget now, the driver started using her car as taxi in Lagos. So he would drive her car as taxi. He would take her property and put it in the car and to go sell it. Her neighbor noticed that. You know, when you're living in a rich people's part of town, they might not know each other, but they knew something was wrong. He was a policeman, and he knew something was wrong with them selling our woman property like that. So he went to ask. They say, oh, the woman out of town. But the way he saw the movement going, he was very suspicious. So he got the police involved. As far as the police know, that case, it was just a stolen property thing. They're just stealing the woman property. Well, as of May, they were still looking for this woman because in 1998, we couldn't just call people or send away or messenger people. The internet was not a big thing then. So several months later, up to 3 months later, they were still looking for this woman. Where is this woman? Her airline, her work is like, we didn't send her on assignment before the police went back to her compound to go look for her. And then one of them noticed that there was a new cement coating over her septic tank. This woman, domestic workers, killed her and put her body in a septic tank. The domestic help that did this to Captain Obon was caught, put in prison because they were thinking it was just a theft case initially. So they put them out on bail. All the people who came in to stand their bond, they were all fake people. So the minute those people were released on bail, they were gone. They were never found. So there has never been justice for Captain Obon. So that was my first research into safety, female safety on the continent. So there you come along, trying to make a difference, trying to find peace, and you're getting into an environment where you have greed, you have jealousy and envy, and people are looking for an opportunity. So you always have to have an eye in the back of your head, because you can never 100% trust anyone. That's just the reality. In my going back to Liberia, part of my safety plan was have I can do kids. Okay, I can't deal with the adults because you run a risk too. The same big family people you put in there, they will be the first one to poison you, to take over your property. So I was aiming at teenagers going into young adulthood that I can help. But in the meantime, they also know what's going on with me and whatever I'm doing in Liberia. Okay, because if you go in there like with your American mentality, I would just be by myself. That's not safety for you, because the people you hire can get rid of you. You go in there, you're working with only adults. The same people who you call brother and sister, they see your property, they're coming after you for that. I mean, it's either which way, so you have to be careful. They'll come after you either by poison or by directly taking a hit on you. So you have to be careful when you enter into Liberia. Even if you're married, it's the same thing. You have husband people all in the mix. It's a dangerous situation. So I have these teenager kids around me who are aware of my movement, and another biggest safety thing that I put in place is that there's an attorney who one of my friends, Zuma Collins, told me about. You can take all your land, all your deeds, all your how you want your property to be inherited. You can hire this attorney to do it for you. So when I go back in April, he gave me the contact information. When I go back in April, I'm going to initiate that so that he gets to keep all of my land deeds and all the ways that I want things to be broken down. And even if you are not in the diaspora or of the diaspora, be aware. I know my personal experience with people who are always looking for opportunity to steal other people's property. Before traveling to America or all of that, even if you're locally, you have these people hustling, and they will hustle your birthright and sell it from right under your nose if you don't leave the actual paperwork and tell people where it's gonna be. I know, because I personally went through somebody doing that stuff to my family. You say, oh, that the person who the head of that the woman who that the boss lady here now, and you know you got children all over the place. Honey, if something happened to you, she only taking care of her child, not the rest of your children. That's just how it is. So whether you're married or not, safety is a reality. And so my next step is hooking up with the attorney, making sure that I have all my wishes, all my properties in one place, all the wishes and guidelines on which I needed to be used, because we're all going to have an expiration date. We don't know when, but we will have it. So condolences to the sisters in Gambia. Her channel is so her sister is so vibrant, and she moved to the Gambia in November of 21. I moved back home in February of 21. Another one is Andrea Mountain. This sister, I think she was poisoned. I don't know which one of them. One of them, they went to the property they were developing with their assistant, and because the person saw $1,000 US on them, they hit them in the back of the head, killed them. It was a Sierra Leone, killed them for $1,000. So they're watching you. You have to put safety things in gear. One of the other safety things that I've thought about, and I know there's a channel, and they do it. This diaspora group in the Gambia, he does that for his group. I'll put his link to his channel on in the bio also. And they do like a roll call, or or a meet and greet, or they just have an organization that they work together. So whatever it is you're doing in the Gambia, you touch base with the organization, let someone in the organization know, and that organization can keep in tabs with you, what you're going and what's happening with you, because you're a stranger in a strange land. Yeah, we're all stranger in a strange land if we've been in a diaspora. I'm not at all saying I'm going to be the leader of the group. I'm too introverted for that. So, but it's a suggestion that we can do, and have a diaspora group that registers what we're doing in Liberia. Keep an eye on Liberia, on us as we're in Liberia, and we have to be mindful of the culture we're going in. Because I had an experience, and I couldn't tell the sister, where a sister was kissing the local people on the mouth. That's not a culture thing we practice in our Liberian culture. It is not. You have to be, you come in with cash, you have to be aware of your surroundings. You might not approve with how the local do things, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I think you've learned how to be two-faced. You can continue being two-faced every now and then for your survivorship. Condolences goes out to her sister and Sister Andrea Mountain, and the 4 other ladies who've died in the Gambia through suspicious means. We may want to help our families. We may want to help our country. We may want to help our continent. But the reality is that there are a lot of opportunistic criminals watching your every move. So think before you do it. Don't be naive and just not be aware of your surroundings or people behind you. You have to be aware. Keep your guard up at all times. And now, on a lighter note, I hope I didn't scare the heck out of you, but it's the reality of the world in which we live. That situation can happen anywhere. You can be walking down the street of good old LA, and that bullet can come for you. So please, wherever you live, there is high risk. But let's be realistic about our continent and our country when we're trying to create a civilized world. Okay, I love you all. Welcome back. Thank you for joining. Namaste.